Michelle. Welcome to Math Your Way. Today's lesson is on solving quadratic equations by factoring. If you have problems with factoring, check out my video that I'm going to add at the end and then come back to this one. However, if you are comfortable with factoring, then I'm going to move a little faster with the factoring portion. But like I said, if you need additional help, it'll be a video at the end. Alright, so we have x squared plus 4x plus 3. And my A is 1. My B is 4. And my C is 3. My A times C is 3 times 1 is 3. So we need a number that multiplies together to give me 3 and then add together to give me 4. That one's pretty easy. I can look at that and say 3 and 1. 3 plus 1 gives me 4, and 3 times 1 does give me 3. So now I am going to do x squared plus 3x plus 1x, and instead of writing the 4x, 3x plus 1x does give me that, but I'm about to show you how to factor by grouping. Plus 3. So now these are grouped together, and this one, what do we have as our GCF? I'm going to remove, which is x. So I'm left with x plus 3, and then this one is already x plus 3 with an imaginary 1 right here. So therefore I want the same thing underneath, and I got that, so that works out. So now all I have to write is x plus 1, because this is the factor on the outside, and then the x plus 3 on the inside. So now that we know our two factors, we can find what it equals to. And remember, everything has to be on, this has to be 0, and everything on the opposite side of the 0 has to be in quadratic equation form. Okay? So now that we know that, we can set our factor equal to 0. So we have x plus 1 and x plus 3. I wrote that backwards, but they're equal to 0. So now we set each equation equal to 0, and we solve. So x equals negative 3 and x equals negative 1. And that is our answer. Right? So now let's do another problem. And we're going to do one that is a little different, and I want you to try to do this one with me. So we have negative 2x squared plus x plus 1. So my A is negative 2, my B is 1, and my C is 1. A times C is negative 2, so negative 2 plus equals 1. So something multiplied together gives me negative 2, and added gives me 1. I'm going to first go with 2 and 1, and then I'm going to add my negative to this one, because 2 minus 1 is 1, and 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Now I'm going to do my factoring by grouping. So I have negative 2x squared plus 2x minus x, because 2 minus x is 1 plus 1. So now I'm going to group everything together. Alright, so I have negative 2x squared plus 2x. I see that I can take out a 2x, so I'm going to take out a 2x, and I'm left with negative x plus 1. And this one, I already have negative x plus 1. and this is an imaginary 1. They look alike, so I am good with my factoring. So now that I have negative x plus 1, I am going to write that in a parenthesis. And then I have 2x plus 1, and I'm going to write that in the parentheses. Alright, so far we have that, and this is all still equal to 0. So I'm going to rewrite this so we can solve our equation. So we have negative x plus 1 equals 0, and we have 2x plus 1 equals 0. So now I subtract my 1, and I have negative x equals negative 1. I need a positive x, so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1, and I get x equals 1. And then this one, subtract 1. I get 2x equals negative 1. I divide by my 2. I get x equals negative 1/2. So the answer is x equals 1 or x equals negative 1/2. All right. And lastly, we're going to do this one together. So we have 2x squared equals x plus 15. Well, we can see that this is not how it should be written. So we need to get everything on one side and 0 on the other. So I'm going to subtract x and 15. So I'm left with 2x squared minus x minus 15. So now I do my a equals 2, my b, and that's all equal to 0. My b equals negative 1 and my c equals negative 15. And a times c is negative 30. So I'm looking for a number that multiplies to give me negative 30 and add to give me negative 1. Well, I know it's not going to be 1 times 30 and so forth, so forth. I know that it has to be 6 and 5 because 6 times 5 does give me 30. So I need it to be negative, so I'm going to choose this one because this is a negative 1. So negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1. So I looked up 2x squared minus 6x plus 5x minus 15. I factor by grouping. I'll take out a 2x. I'm left with x minus 3. I take out a 5. I'm left with x minus 3. My two factors will be 2x plus 5 and x minus 3. All equal to 0. So 2x plus 5 equals 0. Minus my 5, I get 2x equals negative 5. I do the opposite of multiplication. I get x equals negative 5/2. Now I have x minus 3 equals 0. I add my 3. I get x equals 3. And therefore, these are my two answers. Alright? And that's an equal sign. So, if you have any trouble with factoring or solving equations without having to factor, I suggest that you check out my other videos, and I am going to add a factoring video at the end. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.